Midnight, Saturday night. Beautiful day here in hot Atlanta. It's good to take a deep breath all the time, especially at midnight when you're awake. The yang is returning to yin energy. And we read bedtime stories. So, why not start with chapter 1? People have given me feedback that they like it. So, we're going to read. Chapter 1. Don't mind me munching on blueberries. I just had 2 gigs and blueberries restores my singing vocal area. What happens to love after the wedding? At 30,000 feet, somewhere between Buffalo and Dallas, he put his magazine in his seat pocket, turned in my direction, and asked, "What kind of work do you do?" "I do marriage counseling and lead marriage enrichment seminars," I said, matter-of-factly. "I've been wanting to ask someone this for a long time," he said. "What happens to love after you get married?" Relinquishing my hopes of getting a nap, I asked, "What do you mean?" "Well," he said, "I've been married 3 times. And each time, it was wonderful before we got married, but somehow after the wedding it fell apart. All the love I thought I had for her and the love she seemed to have for me evaporated. I am a fairly intelligent person. I operate a successful business, but I don't understand it." "How long were you married?" I asked. "The first one lasted about 10 years. The second time, we were married 3 years. And the last one, almost 6 years." "I'm curious what this guy does for a living," he asked Gary. "Did your love evaporate immediately after the wedding, or was it a gradual loss?" I inquired. "Well, the second one went wrong from the very beginning. I don't know what happened. I really thought we loved each other. But the honeymoon was a disaster, and we never recovered. We only dated 6 months. It was a whirlwind romance. It was really exciting, but after the marriage, it was a battle from the beginning. In my first marriage, we had 3 or 4 good years before the baby came. After the baby was born, I felt like she gave her attention to the baby and I no longer mattered. It was as if her one goal in life was to have a baby, and after the baby, she no longer needed me. "Did you tell her that?" I asked. "Yes, I told her. She said I was crazy. She said I did not understand the stress of being a 24-hour nurse. She said I should be more understanding and help her more. I really tried, but it didn't seem to make any difference. After that, we just grew further apart. After a while, there was no love left, just deadness. Both of us agreed that the marriage was over." My last marriage? I really thought that one would be different. I had been divorced for 3 years. We dated each other for 2 years. I really thought we knew what we were doing. And I thought that perhaps for the first time, I really knew what it meant to love someone. I genuinely felt that she loved me. After the wedding, I don't think I changed. I continued to express love to her as I had before marriage. I told her how beautiful she was. I told her how much I loved her. I told her how proud I was to be her husband. But a few months after marriage, she started complaining about petty things at first, like my not taking the garbage out or not hanging up my clothes. Later, she went to attacking my character, telling me she didn't feel she can trust me, accusing me of not being faithful to her. She became a totally negative person. Before marriage, she was never negative. She was one of the most positive people I have ever met. That's one of the things that attracted me to her. She never complained about anything. I'm wondering if they lived together though, because living together is a whole different ball game, right? She never complained about anything. Everything I did was wonderful, but once we were married, it seemed I could do nothing right. I honestly don't know what happened. Eventually, I lost my love for her and began to resent her. She obviously had no love for me. We agreed there was no benefit to our living together any longer, so we split. That was a year ago. So, my question is, what happens to love after the wedding? This is horrible, but I'm getting like judgy. Like, it sounds like this guy, like, I don't know, might have some annoying living habits or something that they don't know about until they get married. Is my experience common? Is that why we have so many divorces in our country? I can't believe that it happened to me 3 times. And those who don't divorce, do they learn to deal with the learn to live with the emptiness, or does love really stay alive in some marriages? If so, how? The question my friend seated in 5A was asking are the questions thousands of married and divorced persons are asking today. Some are asking friends, some are asking counselors and clergy, and some are asking themselves. Sometimes the answers are couched in psychological research, jargon that is almost incomprehensible. Sometimes they are couched in humor and folklore. Most of the jokes and pithy sayings contain some truth, but they are like offering an aspirin to a person with cancer. The desire for romantic love and marriage is deeply rooted in our psychological makeup. Books abound on the subject. Television and radio talk shows deal with it. The internet is full of advice. So are our parents and friends. Keeping love alive in our marriages is serious business. Okay, I want to interject here and say that this book is way beyond just about what's your love language. That's why it kind of annoys me when someone's like, "What's your love language?" This book is about like marriage counseling. It's about how to keep a marriage together, guised with techniques and tools having to do with love languages. I think it can be applied to dating, but I think this is like even a different kind of container. And I just think that that's important to note. With all the help available from media experts, why is it that so few people seem to have found the secret to keeping love alive after the wedding? Why is it that a couple can attend a communication workshop, hear wonderful ideas on how to enhance communication, return home, and find themselves totally unable to implement the communication patterns demonstrated? How is it that we see an expert on Oprah share tips on 101 ways to express love to your spouse? Select 2 or 3 ways that seem especially good to us, try them, and our spouse doesn't even acknowledge our effort. We give up on the other 98 ways and go back to life as usual. The truth we are missing. The answer to those questions is the purpose of this book. It is not that the book and articles already published are not helpful. The problem is that we have overlooked one fundamental truth. People speak different love languages. Ooh, this looks bad. I totally pinched myself on my mic stand today. I need to upgrade to mic stands that aren't old and wobbly and pinch me. Hey, board 24/7. Where am I? My academic training is in the area of anthropology. Thanks for the thumbs up. Love ya. Therefore, I have studied in the area of linguistics, which identifies a number of major language groups. I like linguistics. Yeah, I'm just really tired. I really should be going to bed, but I really wanted to read, so I'm like, okay, let me share. Um, but yeah, I've been like doing qigong and stuff. Chi to people. I'm kind of like starting to get the late night munchies too, but I'm just having blueberries. You should keep your chakra for yourself. Do you mean chocolate? Language groups: Japanese, Chinese, Spanish, English, Portuguese, Greek, German, French, and so on. Most of us grow up learning the language of our parents and siblings, which becomes our primary native tongue. Later, we may learn additional languages, but usually when much more effort. Yeah, I'm not good at learning languages. I like singing in other languages, but anyway, these become our secondary languages. We speak and understand best our native language. We feel most comfortable speaking that language. The more we use a secondary language, the more comfortable we become conversing in it. If we speak only our primary language and encounter someone else who speaks only his or her primary language, which is different from ours, our communication will be limited. Yeah, aliens are real. Of course they're real. By the way, if you're watching this after the fact and you're wondering why I'm randomly commenting, is because I'm doing this live and I'm talking to people in the live chat, which you might not notice if you don't have the screen that is showing it. I love whamming. We must rely on pointing, grunting, drawing pictures, or acting out our ideas. Speaking of grunting, I think that is one of the best ways to communicate. Supposedly, a woman's tongue has been researched, and it shows that there are highly developed muscles on her tongue that pinpoints or hypothesizes that women's genes show that they've been talking supposedly longer than men, and women were talking when men were still grunting, supposedly in our evolution. So I've been telling my girlfriends about their boyfriends, like if they have communication problems, I'm like, you need to understand the language of his grunt. Do you understand his grunt? That's more of an indicator of what he's saying than what he's talking about. I mean, I said kind of like a joke, but I think it's important to understand grunts and growls and like in each other, like primally, you know what I mean? Because it's like emotion, but it's also like life, you know? Oh. Um, we must rely on pointing, grunting, drawing pictures, or acting out our ideas. Ah, grum. Wow, I would love to learn sign language. Good for you. That's wild. Thanks for sharing that. Um, we can communicate, but it's awkward. Language differences are part and parcel of human culture. If we are to communicate effectively across cultural lines, we must learn the language of those with whom we wish to communicate. And like, I haven't done it, but that silent meditation that a lot of people have done, they say really helps to clear like their energy. That's kind of similar. It's like they're not talking, but they're learning other ways to communicate. And so basically, um, I went to Israel when I was a kid, and I think that that was really cleansing to my energy because I had to learn how to like speak the language of no language. I think there's something powerful about that, like speaking the language of no language. And whether this is like a foolproof therapy method or not, I think with your lover, with your friends, like with everyone, like it's really good to understand the no language that you have together. Like communication is hard, but we also have a psychic way of connecting with each other. I guess that's what I'm calling the no language. And it's beautiful. And it's like love, you know? Um, we must learn the language of those with whom we wish. Okay. So yeah, we must learn the language of those with whom we are communicating. Yeah, that's true, but also you know, we need to learn the no language of each other too, right? That's my that's my 2 cents. I think one way to find your grunt, I mean, like we just do it automatically, but like I think a lot of women take the grunts of men personally, like when they're like being like road raging and stuff like that. And a lot of times it's just like they just need to feel grunty about it. It's not like they're like pissed off at you. It's not personal. Um So, like, yeah, just, like, breathing in, I mean, like, like, just letting out that sigh. So many people just hide their grunt. They hide their emotions because they especially women, actually, because we don't wanna, like, show that we could be angry or something. Anyway, I'm too tired to analyze that. In the area of love, it is similar. Your emotional love language and the language of your spouse may be as different as Chinese from English. Okay, I knew we were going there. No matter how hard you try to express love in English, if your spouse understands only Chinese, you will never understand how to love each other, except if you use the no language. But I hear what he's saying. Oh my gosh, I have to sneeze. Ooh, that was a big one. Excuse me. My friend on the plane was speaking the language of affirming words to his third wife when he said, I told her how beautiful she was. I told her I loved her. I told her how proud I was to be her husband. He was speaking love and he was sincere, but she did not understand his language. Perhaps she was looking for love in his behavior and didn't see it. Being sincere is not enough. We must be willing to learn our spouse's primary love language if we are to be effective communicators of love. Okay, here's what I think also. I think it has to do with our receptors. Like when he's talking about love languages, I think it's also about like having the receptor for that love language. So, you have to be in the mood to hear compliments. Anyway, but that's interesting. I like his theories. Um, she did not understand his language. Perhaps she was looking for love in his behavior and didn't see it. Being sincere is not enough. We must be willing to learn our spouse's primary love language if we are to be effective communicators of love. Or what helps them to feel filled up and safe. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so tired. My conclusion after 30 years of marriage counseling is that there are 5 emotional love languages. 5 ways that people speak and understand emotional love. In the field of linguistics, a language may have numerous dialects or variations. Similarly, within the 5 basic emotional love languages, there are many dialects. I started zoning out. Aw, thank you, board 1247. That's very sweet of you. My conclusion, once more, after 30 years of marriage counseling, is that there are 5 emotional love languages, 5 ways that people speak and understand emotional love in the field of linguistics. A language may have numerous dialects or variations. Okay, I'm following it. Um, Similarly, within the 5 basic emotional love languages, there are many dialects. Okay, that's funny. That's really funny. Like if someone's like, "What's your language, love language?" and you're like, words of affirmation, and they're like, "Oh," I mean, then you can be like, "You didn't ask me what my dialect is. What, you think you know my language just because you know my love language?" I'm Israeli. I'm part Israeli. Um, that accounts for the magazine articles titled 10 Ways to Let Your Spouse Know You Love Her, 20 Ways to Keep Your Man at Home, or 365 Expressions of Marital Love. There are not 10, 20, or 365 basic love languages. In my opinion, there are only 5. However, there may be numerous dialects. Ooh, he's really gotten into this. The number of ways to express love within a love language is limited only by one's imagination. The important thing is to speak the love language of your spouse. Oh, so there's millions of dialects? Seldom do a husband and wife have the same primary emotional love language. We tend to speak our primary love language and we become confused when our spouse does not understand what we are communicating. We are expressing our love, but the message does not come through because we are speaking what to them is a foreign language. Therein lies the fundamental problem, and it is the purpose of this book to offer a solution. That is why I dare to write another book on love. Once we discover, okay, he's got a few then. I want to write a book. Anyone out there write books? Once we discover the 5 basic love languages and understand our own primary love language as well as the primary love language of our spouse, we will then have the needed information to apply the ideas in the books and articles. Once you identify and learn to speak your spouse's primary love language, lemon juice with honey and blue acai organic seltzer, blueberry. Oh, here comes an ad. Let me try to finish this. Once you identify and learn to speak your spouse's primary love language, I believe that you will have discovered the key to a long lasting, loving marriage. Love need not evaporate after the wedding, but in order to keep it alive, most of us will have to put forth the effort to learn a secondary love language. We cannot rely on our native tongue if our spouse does not understand it. If we want them to feel the love we are trying to communicate, we must express it in his or her primary love language. Your turn. Complete the following. There would be fewer divorces if only people learned each other's love languages. If only people did more Tai Chi. There would be fewer divorces if only people were really good. All right. Chapter 2. And by the way, I'm just going to review these chapters again. Do I have enough energy to do chapter 2? Maybe not. I might just go. Unless someone throws me a tip to stay on here. Hey, mosquito. Okay. So there's 3 chapters before we do the first love language, which is words of affirmation. We did chapter 5 a few days ago. So maybe we'll do 1 and 2 tonight and then 3 and 4 like the next time I pop on here with a live reading. So, and then he does just, reiterate what are the 5 love languages: words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. So, yeah, I can do that. It's just like 6 pages, and then I'll go. By the way, I'm so excited. I started membership on my channel. If you haven't seen the video, please check that out on what it means to be a member here. And for just $2.99 a month, you can use the Aviva Sings Out emojis like the clutter bug. Look how cute he is. He's kind of like inconspicuous too. Hey, why won't you let me comment? Is it too long? Oh yeah, it was too long. So, yeah, to be a member, you just hit that join button, which should be at the bottom of the video here. It'll be epic, whoever becomes my first member. It's like a historical event in Aviva's life. All right, chapter 2. First, I'm going to do some qigong to wake myself up. I cannot believe how tired I am. Chapter 2. Keeping the love tank full. All right, stretchy time. Stretchy. And maybe a little chocolate. Maybe a little chocolate milk. A little muala. This is a good move. Just like literally leaning up against a wall. Yeah, that's from playing ukulele a lot today. Ooh. That would be awesome. Oh my gosh. That was really good. I really like this one too. Just like bringing in the energy. I can't, like, it's too late. I'll wake my housemates. Knock on heaven's door. Yay! That was good. Okay. Love is the most important word in the English language. Love is the most important thing that we got. So let's get it right now. Love is the most important thing that we got. So let's get it right now. Love is the most important thing that we got. So let's get it right now. That would be amazing. Okay. Love is confusing, he's saying. Both secular and religious thinkers agree that love plays a central role in life. Thousands of books, songs, magazines, and movies are peppered with the word. Numerous philosophical and theological systems have made a prominent place for love. Now I'm like craving like those black pepper pretzel things. Psychologists have concluded that the need to feel loved is a primary human emotional need. For love, we will climb mountains, cross seas, traverse deserts, sands, and endure untold hardships. Without love, mountains become unclimbable, seas uncrossable, deserts unbearable, and hardships our lot in life. Okay. Mm. If we can agree that the word love permeates human society, both historically and in the present, we must also agree that it is a most confusing word. Love. Love, they mean. We use it in 1,000 ways. We say, I love hot dogs, and in the next breath, I love my mother. We speak of loving activities, swimming, skiing, hunting. We love objects, food, cars, houses. We love animals, dogs, cats, even pet snails. That was really random, Gary. We love nature, trees, grass, flowers, and weather. We love people, mother, father, son, daughter, wives, husbands, friends. We even fall in love with love. That's true. If all that is not confusing enough, we also use the word love to explain behavior. I did it because I love her. That explanation is given for all kinds of actions. A politician is involved in an adulterous relationship and he calls it love. The preacher, on the other hand, calls it sin. The wife of an alcoholic picks up on the pieces after her husband's latest episode. She calls it love, but the psychologist calls it codependency. The parent indulges all the child's wishes, calling it love. The family therapist would call it irresponsible parenting. What is loving behavior? Yeah, I should go get that chocolate juice in a minute. Chocolate juice. It's not milk. It's not. It's banana. That's why it's juice. It's chocolate banana. The purpose of this book is not to eliminate all confusion surrounding the word love, but to focus on the kind of love that is essential to our emotional health. Thanks for this thumbs up. Child psychologists affirm that every child has certain basic emotional needs that must be met if he is to be emotionally stable. Among those emotional needs, none is more basic than the need for love and affection. The need to sense that he or she belongs and is wanted. Yeah, I mean, those are three different things. Being loved, well, four, affection, and know that they belong and know that they're wanted. That's four needs that we all have. That the need for love, the need for affection, the need to feel wanted, and the need that to know that we belong. So, with an adequate supply of affection, the child will likely develop into a responsible adult. With that love, he or she will be emotionally and socially without that love, he or she will be emotionally and socially challenged. So we got to be honest with ourselves, Just because we heard the words of affirmation from our parents saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. What are they saying with everything else? Like, that's an interesting thing to talk about. Maybe you have different love languages than your parents. Maybe that's why you might not feel loved. So, if you didn't feel loved and you didn't feel appreciated and like you belonged and like you were important and like you are wanted around, that's a really interesting thing. It's like you say you love me, but I'm annoying you. I'm a kid making all this noise. You don't want me around. Um, we might feel like that. And we might feel like we don't belong. We might not have gotten the affection we needed. And so we might have more challenges socially and emotionally. And that's okay. Just be honest with yourself and you can work through it. You can get it. I liked the metaphor the first time I heard it. Inside every child is an emotional tank waiting to be filled with love. When a child really feels loved, he will develop normally. But when the love tank is empty, the child will misbehave. Much of the misbehavior of the child of children is motivated by the cravings of an empty love tank. Yeah, I think misbehavior of adults. I think when you feel that void, an empty love tank, that's when you're like an alcoholic, a sugarholic, smokers, maybe. So yeah. And actually, I wrote a song years ago about filling up the love tank, but I didn't call it a love tank. I called it something else. I should really go back there and do it. It was a Sunday song that I never finished, but I have a lot of footage of it with the Zulu Brothers. When a child really feels loved, he will develop normally. But when the love tank is empty, the child will misbehave. Much of the misbehavior of children is motivated by the cravings of an empty love tank. I was listening to Dr. Ross Campbell, a psychiatrist who specializes in the treatment of children and adolescents. As I listened, I thought of the hundreds of parents who had paraded the misdeeds of their children through my office. I had never visualized an empty love tank inside those children, but I had certainly seen the results of it. Their misbehavior was a misguided search for the love they did not feel. I feel that when I work with children. They were seeking love in all the wrong places and in all the wrong ways. I remember Ashley, who at 13 years of age was better being treated for an STD, TMI. I mean, trigger warning. Her parents were crushed. They were angry with Ashley. They were upset with the school, which they blamed for teaching her about sex. Why would she do this? They asked. In my conversation with Ashley, she told me of her parents' divorce when she was 6 years old. I felt my father left because he didn't love me, she said. When my mother remarried when I was 10, I felt she now had someone to love her, but I still had no one to love me. I wanted so much to be loved. I met this boy at school. He was older than me, but he liked me. I couldn't believe it. He was kind to me, and in a while, I really felt he loved me. I didn't want to have sex, but I wanted to be loved. Ashley's love tank had been empty for many years. Her mother and stepfather had provided for her physical needs, but had not realized the deep emotional struggle raging inside her. They certainly loved Ashley, and they thought that she felt their love, but not until it was almost too late did they discover that they were not speaking Ashley's primary love language. Okay, so we are talking about families too. The emotional need for love, however, is not simply a childhood phenomenon. That need follows us into adulthood and into marriage. The in love experience temporarily meets that need, but it is inevitably a quick fix and, as we shall learn later, has a limited and predictable lifespan. After we come down from the high of the in love obsession, the emotional need for love resurfaces because it is fundamental to our nature. It is at the center of our emotional desires. We needed love before we fell in love, and we will need it as long as we live. Speaking of love, let's put on some Flying Penguin lullabies. I'm telling you, you will feel the love. The need to feel loved by one's spouse is at the heart of marital desires. A man said to me recently, "What good is the house, the cars, the place at the beach, or any of the rest of it if your wife doesn't love you?" Do you understand what he was really saying? More than anything, I want to be loved by my wife. Material things are no replacement for human emotional love. A wife says, "He ignores me all day long and then wants to jump in bed with me. I hate it." She is not a wife who hates sex. She is a wife desperately pleading for emotional love. Duh. Yeah, I'm looking back at my past relationships. When I wouldn't want to, it was like I didn't feel the emotional connection, and then they would feel rejected, and I'm like, just take some time to connect with me. Yeah. Our cry for love. Something in our nature cries out to be loved by another. Isolation is devastating to the human psyche. That is why solitary confinement is considered the cruelest of punishments. Happened to me. Fulton County Jail. Fair warning. At the heart of humankind's existence, I mean, if it's cruel, why do we allow it in this world? Seriously. At the heart of humankind's existence is the desire to be intimate and to be loved by another. Marriage is designated to meet that need for intimacy and love. That is why the ancient biblical writings spoke of the husband and wife becoming one flesh. That did not mean that individuals would lose their identity. It meant that they would enter into each other's lives in a deep and intimate way. But if love is important, it is also elusive. I have listened to many married couples share their secret pain. Some came to me because the inner ache had become unbearable. Others came because they realized that their behavior patterns or the misbehavior of their spouse was destroying the marriage. Some came simply to inform me that they no longer wanted to be married. Their dreams of living happily ever after had been dashed against the hard walls of reality. I think it should say bashed. I found an error in your book, Gary. Page 22 had been bashed, not dashed, against the hard walls of reality. Again and again, I have heard the words, our love is gone, our relationship is dead, we used to feel close, but not now, we no longer enjoy being with each other, we don't meet each other's needs. Their stories bear testimony that adults as well as children have love tanks. Could it be that deep inside, hurting couples exists an invisible emotional love tank with its gouge on empty? Could the misbehavior, withdrawal, harsh words, and critical spirit occur because of that empty tank? If we could find a way to fill it, could the marriage be reborn? And I think a lot of critical behavior, like even towards the world, comes from an empty tank. People. If we could find a way to fill it, could the marriage be reborn? With a full tank, would couples be able to create an emotional climate where it is possible to discuss differences and resolve conflicts? Could that tank be the key that makes marriage work? I don't know, but I'm going to get some chocolate banana. I'll be right back. What's up, Mr. Mustachio? That is one genre I have never dabbled in that I really want to. Heavy metal. Oh my god, this is so good. Have you tried it? Moala? I got it from Publix a few days ago. It's like, instead of nut milk, it's banana milk. It's like a vegan milk made of bananas. Alright, almost done with this chapter and I'm going to bed. Those questions sent me on a long journey. Where'd you go, Gary? Along the way, I discovered the simple yet powerful insights contained in this book. The journey has taken me not only through 30 years of marriage counseling, but into the hearts and minds of hundreds of couples throughout America. Good for you. From Seattle to Miami, couples have invited me into the inner chamber of their marriages, and we have talked openly. The illustrations included in this book are cut from the fabric of real life. My love is like a tapestry, woven with you and me colors. Only names and places are changed to protect the privacy of the individuals who have spoken so freely. I am convinced that keeping the emotional love tank full is as important to a marriage as maintaining the proper oil level is to an automobile. Heck yeah, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Like, that's similar to, I think, doing Qigong. Like, when you fill your tank up with Qi, you are operating in a completely different level. And so he's basically saying, like, filling up your love tank is like, don't try to drive that car without when it's on empty. Like, pause and go fill it up. If you don't have a choice, it's not going to work. I love that. Comparing it to fuel. Where am I? I am convinced that keeping the emotional love tank full is as important to a marriage as maintaining the proper oil level is to an automobile. Running your marriage on empty love tank may cost you even more than trying to drive your car without oil. And that costs a lot of money. Getting a new engine or whatever happens. What you are about to read has the potential of saving thousands of marriages and can even enhance the emotional climate of a good marriage. Whatever the quality of your marriage now, it can always be better. I will say that matrix therapy fills up your personal love tank too. So, like, you don't have to be married to be running on empty love tank. Like, that's something you need to address, whether you're married or not. Warning. Oh wait, it says, what you're about to read, blah, 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 whatever the quality of marriage is now can always be better. Warning, understanding the 5 love languages and learning to speak the primary love language of your spouse may radically affect his or her behavior. People behave differently when their emotional love tanks are full. Before we examine the 5 love languages, however, we must address one other important but confusing phenomenon, the euphoric experience of falling in love. So, are you all like ready for that chapter? That'll be the next live reading I do when I'm inspired to do a live reading, probably next Saturday. I think I seem to do it on Saturday nights. Maybe not. Has there ever been a time when you did something because you meant well that is out of loving motives? How did it turn out? Alright, think about that and comment below, y'all. I am hitting the hay. Or the cleavers. Love you. And hold your heart for me. And ask if your love tank is full. And if not, just like think of things that help you feel loved and feel a sense of belonging. Doing your dishes, that helps. Good night. Ah! I am talking low. Alright, I just turned it down. Is that better? See y'all Monday at 4:20 with the live Qigong. Hopefully I'll have some more videos up tomorrow. We'll see.